In England, the Premier League is consisted of 20 teams, and the league below that is the Championship. Now, every single season, there are teams in the Championship that fight for promotion to enter into England's top flight. Southampton, who were in for roughly 25 years, more or less, were recently relegated a couple of years ago, and they've been fighting for promotion ever since. They had come into a playoff battle with one of their rival teams, Middlesbrough, which was meaning that they sat just outside the automatic qualifications in the Championship table. Little to Middlesbrough's preferences, during the playoff time, which is conducted at the end of the season, they were at their training session and they saw someone in the trees, really in the background, filming their sessions. When they went to approach them, that person left, and then upon further investigation, they found out that was actually a staff member of Southampton, secretly recording their training sessions ahead of the playoff match. They raised this with an independent commission who conducted a review, and they found out through issues like leaked WhatsApp messages that Southampton had coercively been monitoring and taking footage of rival teams and their training sessions in order to get a competitive advantage against them with these upcoming finals.
I guess cheating in sport's not a new thing. We go back to the Houston Astros stealing signs in baseball in 2017, 2018. Michigan football stole signs in 21, 22, 23. Whenever there is a way to get a competitive advantage, sporting teams are obviously looking to expose that. So where did this blur the lines?
So it blurred the lines where the Southampton were obviously trying to obtain unlawful footage of rival teams with consideration to the playoffs. There's actually a rule in the EFL regulations where during the playoff season, teams aren't actually allowed to engage in any form of communications with regard to their tactics. So by having a junior analyst, which is what Southampton had gotten to take footage, had definitely had a breach of those regulations.
Okay, so fair enough, and I understand the purpose of it. I also understand that their defence that they raised in their appeal, I think, was, oh, we didn't obtain any benefit from it. We still did it, but we didn't obtain any benefit. Does that have any relevance?
Not at all, because it's the conduct in and of itself. It's not the material benefit that they gained or weren't able to gain from the footage. It's the fact that they actually coerced employees of the club to go and take recordings without the knowledge of the club being recorded is what the biggest issue is.
And I guess obviously something that might be overlooked here is the employee themselves. And I think everyone in an employment sphere will have times where they've been asked to do something and they've wanted to say no, whether it's lawful and reasonable is the primary consideration. Did this intern have the right to say no?
Most definitely, because it definitely quantifies as illegal conduct, and it actually is in breach of, if I'm not mistaken, Rule 27 of the EFL regulations. So just based on that alone, the employee could have definitely said, I do not feel comfortable with this. And the independent commission actually found that it went against the employee's moral wrongings. So they actually saw this as doing something morally wrong. And they felt that it was wrong of the employer to push this for them to do, even though it went against their views.
Understanding that, obviously taking it out of a sporting context, if an employee said no to an unlawful, unreasonable request in Australia under the Fair Work Act, my understanding is obviously that if they were suffering any adverse action after that, it would be unlawful dismissal, or they would give rise to a general protection claim. But more commercially, what did Southampton lose as a result of this?
It comes under a few different arms, one of them being pure revenue. Promotion to the Premier League in and of itself guarantees at least 95 to 100, 110 million pounds of promotional revenue. And if they were to stay on in the Premier League for the following seasons, that's additional revenue just given to them. Whilst in the Championship, they're only getting roughly anything between 10 to 50 million pounds. So just from the promotion in and of itself, them being kicked off that playoff promotion final, they're losing a lot of commercial revenue. In addition to that, there are now key players that have stuck with the team looking to activate just cause clauses in their contract to leave and potentially go to teams in the Premier League, because they are now not going to play at what is the highest competition in English football. So what incentive would they have to stay if they have to be there for another season? Taking into consideration the full point deduction that they'll have at the start of the season, that's also another incentive to keep the players away. So commercially speaking, the club is losing revenue, and also they're potentially losing players that will build more revenue for them.